Good evening, everyone. So, today we are going to see the concept of friend function in C double plus. We'll see what is the friend function and what is the use of the friend function in C double plus. First of all, let us understand the use of the friend function. Friend is a term we know very well, it's a very well defined term. So, let us understand by an example. Let's suppose we are keeping our jewelries in the locker of bank, and inside that bank the auditor is allowed, no one is allowed to see, but auditor is allowed to see the jewelries, can open the jewelry locker and can see the jewelries. Means what? This is a private locker and the auditor is not at all inside that locker, but he or she can see the jewelries, can access the jewelries. So this is how friend function works. Some private data members are there in our class and object which cannot be accessed outside the class, but a function, a special non-member function called friend function can access the private data members. So the basic use of the friend function is whenever we have declared some data members and member function as private, so that can also be accessed using the friend function. Friend is a special, again, non-member function to access the private data members. Okay, so we'll understand this by a simple program, and we are starting with the program how the friend function access the private data members. So let us start writing by the program. Okay, first we'll include iostream, we'll include io stream, then again the namespace group needs to be included globally, so that again it is not required to write again and again scope resolution operator. So again here we are including using name space std. So this is a actually not at all an header file or any function. No, it is a feature, it is a group where all the names means different keywords which we are going to use in our programs are stored under different naming groups. This is why using namespace we have to include, so that from which group we are going to include which function or which name, that the compiler should be aware of, conflict should not arise. Okay, let's suppose we have a function count inside the compiler and we are also making a function count, so the conflict can arise. So that is why the compilers function are grouped together in the namespace inside this group, so that compiler should be clear about that my functions are there in the namespace, and if anybody has to use them, they have to include this namespace group in the program. So that is why we have included namespace. Okay, now our IO stream is ready, our namespace is ready. Now we'll create our class. First of all, our class name is, let's suppose, number class we have created, and inside that class now we'll declare private data members, because our main aim is to check whether the friend function can access the private data members or not. So here first of all we will write private access specifier, and inside that private we will declare one our data member, integer type data member value. Again, one thing I want to clear here, that this value is not a simple, we can say, variable. No, it is not at all a variable. It is a blueprint which is same for all the objects which will be afterwards, they are coming, which will be declared afterwards. So for them this value is different in different objects. So let us understand how this value works. Here I am writing one thing. Let's suppose one student is here. Here we are writing for the example, one student, two students, three students are coming for the registration in the school, and registration form contains two fields. Let's suppose address, okay, and suppose phone number. So these two fields to be filled by every student. This is the blueprint which the management has prepared. Now student A comes The student A will fill the data, address and phone number. Student B will come, same data, he or she will fill. Student C will come, same data, he or she will fill. Means what? This is the blueprint which is separate for everyone, accessible by everyone, and everyone is filling in their own way. This is how this value work. This is how this value data member works. This is not a normal variable, it is just a blueprint which will be separate for as many objects we will create. This is how it works. Okay, I think this is clear. And now our data member has been declared. This is the blueprint. Again, this is not at all a normal variable. Afterwards, we will now declare our constructor. Every time this constructor is required, and constructor is a special member function. Okay, and we are keeping this constructor public because outside the class only it will be called every time to initialize the objects. So this should be public. Okay, and in the public we are creating our member function. This constructor number name will be same as class name, and inside that one temporary parameter we are giving v. This is a temporary parameter, not an object. This is a temporary parameter where the value is coming from the outside will be stored. Somebody is giving the value in the main function and that value to be passed here, and this will be stored inside the v. This is a temporary data member or variable we can say. Okay, inside that number means inside this constructor we will write here value, whatever value will be coming here will be the value of v's value, temporary parameter passed. Whatever the user is giving in the v means from the outside, this v will store it and assign it to the value. Okay, fine. So how this constructor will work? This is required because again if constructor will not be, the object will take the garbage value. This is why every time we used to prefer the constructor. It's a good practice to make constructors. Okay. So this is now constructor is ended. Now we'll start our friend function. So from here I am starting one comment line for the user friendliness. Friend function declaration. Okay, so here we are declaring the again the question should arise ki if the friend function is a non-member function, then why we are declaring this friend function inside the class? The same bank example we will go now. Inside the bank locker or anywhere in the protocol of the bank, it is written that auditors are permissible, means they have the permission to access the locker. So somewhere to it is introduced to the lockers that yes, by the protocol or by the manuals or by the notice. Same way here in the class only we will introduce our friend, that yes, this is our friend. Somewhere it will be defined and somewhere it will call you. So don't be worry about it. It is our friend. For that reason we introduce this friend function inside the class, but we will not define it here inside the class. We'll just write a friend keyword is required. This is how we segregate normal function and friend function. So friend keyword. Okay, friend, this is our function, and here inside we will introduce our parameters also, like it will be a class type parameter n1 and n2. So we have introduced our function, and now we'll close our class. Fine. That's it. Inside the class, nothing else we will do. Outside the class, we will now define our function. Now we'll write here function, friend function, definition. Here we will define because it is a non-member function again. So inside we have not defined it. Inside that we have only declared it inside the class just to introduce. Again I am repeating, just to introduce. Outside of the class friend function will be defined. Again here keyword is not required now. Inside the class only friend keyword will be here. The normal function of integer type, add again the parameters, we have written over here, and now we will define what is the work of this, friend function, how it will access. So here we will write direct the return statement. What it will return, n1 means the object n1 will be created in the near future. N1 dot value is our data member. Again I said that this is different for different object. So for n1 this value is different, it will work for n1, then it will be for n1 only. Overwriting concept will not work over here. Okay. N2 dot value. Here somebody may think that n1 dot value is a value, then n2 dot value comes, then n1 will be overwritten. No, again that registration form you think it is different for different students. Same that blueprint concept, value is working for n1, then it is for n1 only. The second value will be created for n2 and it will work for n2 only. There are two values because there are two objects. Same way. Okay. Now we'll close it. It is closed already. This function is closed already. Afterwards, we'll now come to the main function. And inside that, we will create our objects. Number n1 and we will give pass value 10. Outside n2, we will pass value 20 will be passed. Then semicolon and we'll end the statement. So two objects have been created now. Now we'll call the function, our friend function, to work. So here we'll create a variable result. It is not an object, it is a normal variable to catch our returned value, because the value will be returned, object will not be returned over here. So normal variable is more than enough to catch that value. Okay, result. Here we are calling our non-member function friend function by the name only. The same rule applies for the calling, no special rule for the friend function. Add, and here the parameters means the objects n1 and n2. Fine. And then semicolon, ended up, and will print cout sum is equals to, afterwards we will write the variable where our result is stored now. Fine. Then we will write return, because our statement is integer main statement, so something to be returned, and then we'll close. Now we'll check once all the brackets are paired or not. Yes, this is the bracket paired, this and this are paired brackets. Then friend function paired, and this is I think extra bracket. We'll run the code now. It is the error, line number 13. Friend function, okay. Here semicolon is required in the declaration because we have only declared. This was the syntax error. Now we'll run the code. This sum 30 is showing over here. It means what? It means this friend function accessed our private member value. Otherwise, the result will not come. Private member value has been accessed, and two times n1 dot value and n2 dot value it has worked also, and then given the result. This is how the friend function can access our private data members. I hope you understand the concept. Thank you.